when the 6 steps do not apply to motions. Let us review 2 privileged motions and 4 incidental motions which lack the 6 steps. Privileged motions do not relate to the pending motion, but are of such immediate importance that they take precedent over the main motion. Example 1, questions of privilege. This is basically a very simple thing. When you can't hear, you can't see, or some other technical thing is stopping you from being involved in the debate, you call for a question of privilege. You ask for a question of privilege. This stops everything dead, and they try to fix the problem. That's all that it is. Whether it's too much noise, or you can't see, or whatever, or the temperature's too cold and everyone's complaining about it, or there's people debating, or whatever. You have to stop so you can hear what's going on. That's what a question of privilege is. 2 is call for the orders of the day. This is very important. For example, in our delegate convention, the Republican Party has already set up everything step by step that the officers have to follow. If they deviate from that to ramrod something through that you don't want done, you call for the order of the day, which makes them adhere to the pre-made plan. In our respect would be the delegates' convention plan by the Republican Party. So they don't deviate and ramrod something through they're not supposed to. For example, the first thing that they're going to be asking us to do is elect a new presiding officer, a new chair. They'll probably want to skip that because the person in power wants to stay in power. So you immediately call for the orders of the day, and make a motion to vote. Very important. So everyone should have a copy of what's supposed to be going on, the itinerary. Make sure they hold to it. Okay. The second class of motions that do not require 6 steps is an incidental motion. These motions do not relate directly to the substance of the pending motion, but rather to the method of the transacting of the business of the motion. Incidental motions must be dealt with immediately. In other words, it's the method in which they're using that's wrong. So you want to interrupt it immediately. You do not have to wait to be recognized. You just stand up and say, for example, the first one is point of order. So you stand up and say, point of order. That stops everything. During a meeting, you notice that someone, even the presiding officer, is disobeying Robert's Rules of Order. You state point of order and explain your point. The presiding officer rules on your point, and you help to keep everyone in line. In other words, it's your job to make sure everything is kept in line, not someone else's. If you see something's wrong, you stand up and say, point of order. Immediately stop everything. The second one is point of information. One right that no one can take away from you is, if you do not understand or you do not have the information at hand, you can stop the proceedings and ask for a point of information to review that information. It's very simple. You have the right to stop business and have someone explain the process or consequences of the debate or voting, or the information being presented. Your request for information cannot be ignored by the presiding officer. It must be dealt with immediately. That's so they don't ramrod things through that you don't understand. If you don't understand the proceedings or what they're voting on, you stop it until it's explained to you. Because ignorance is no excuse. You have to be able to understand. Okay, the third is called division of assembly. It's whenever you doubt the presiding officer's hearing capabilities during the vote. In other words, someone says, all in favor, say aye, and he says, oh, the aye carries. And you disagree with it. So then you ask for a division of assembly. And you ask for the vote to be retaken in a more accurate manner, whether by raising hands or paper ballot or whatever. At that point, there's also other things we need to get into that I'm going to research a little bit about. There's proportional voting. If you're in a precinct where you have multiple delegates assigned to you, you can ask to have a proportional vote. That way, otherwise they're going to carry according to the majority in a room, not according to the proportional delegate votes that you hold. So that's something to keep in mind. In the last 3 cases that we just covered, you do not need to be recognized or seconded. No one can amend it, debate it. No vote is necessary. You get your way without the 6 steps. This is very important. You understand the power of the last 3 things.